Ngolo Kante is 29, wasted in Chelsea's 4-3-3, and their best paid player. Will he leave, or will he stay and be wasted? Despite replacing Sarri with Lampard, there is one question that still remains at Chelsea. What is Kante's future in the squad? One thing is clear, he's not really happy at Chelsea playing in a system that doesn't use 100% of his ability. So what does Chelsea need to do now? Asked at his unveiling as Chelsea's head coach last summer if he knew where he would deploy Ngolo Kante, Frank Lampard simply laughed and said he did. This conclusion, which is evident from the results on the field this season, is very similar to what Mauricio Sarri said in the 2018-2019 season, that the tireless Frenchman is best maximized shuttling up and down on the right of a midfield three, with instruction to dart into the opposition penalty area whenever the opportunity presents itself. Kante's 2019-2020 season was interrupted by injury, in addition to constant controversies over his efficiency in Lampard's system. A very important question for Chelsea when the season returned, as well as in the following season. The most interesting thing about what Lampard and Sarri have drawn together is that it is something of a departure from the role that powered Kante's rise to global renown. He won a World Cup with France and back-to-back Premier League titles with Leicester City and Chelsea, operating as part of a double pivot in the midfield. Chelsea, under Sarri and now Lampard, have done well in the 4-3-3 formation, although Lampard's scheme has more youth from the Cobham training furnace. Kante's role changes in these two systems, which appear to be less different but require a lot of alignment. There is even evidence that this greatly limits his role at both ends of the pitch. When Kante was just 29 years old last month, with a persistent injury, and in the last 3 years of his contract, he reached the most important moment of his Chelsea career. Both the player and the club need to find a way to benefit both, break up smoothly, or quickly find a solution to maximize both parties. So the question here is, how to solve the problem of N'Golo Kante? Lampard has arranged Chelsea to play in a 4-3-3 formation in 15 out of 29 Premier League matches. In the remaining matches, he arranged two midfielders to compete in the 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-2-1. Kante was in 18 league games for Chelsea this season, and 9 of which he played in a 4-3-3 formation. Kante's ability without the ball is what he's best known for, so that's where we'll start. Considering how many tackles, interceptions, and recoveries he makes per 1,000 opponent touches, gives a decent indicator of how active he's being defensively. All of the defensive metrics used in the table below have been possession adjusted, counting how often each happens in every 1,000 opponent touches. This helps to try and reduce the impact of teams defending at different rates due to processing high or low amounts of the ball. We can see that when he's deployed in a midfield of two players, he's far busier. Having less than one person in the middle of the field means that the other players have to do more work. This may seem normal at first, but considering that Mateo Kovac and Jorginho are playing when there are 3 people in the midfield, Chelsea will play well on the defensive side without Kante in the midfield. What we can see here is that Kante made the fewest tackles out of the 3, while Jorginho made the most tackles in 1,000 touches. When looking at the positions where the players perform the defensive phase mentioned above, we can see something very different. Kante tends to be more adventurous on the right wing when playing in the 2 midfielders. When playing against the 3-team midfield, he often drifted to the left. And the 3 players in the midfield are enough to block the support lines for the attack, so having one more player like Kante seems to be redundant. Under Lampard, Chelsea had an advantage possession control of about 57.4%, so the main task of the midfield are to shield the defense. Supporting the attack is the primary function of whichever unit takes to the field, and for that reason, retaining and progressing the ball, and sometimes scoring, are the most valuable contributions required in Lampard's system. Lampard's midfield choices are not usually good at attacking. Jorginho, with 4 goals, including 3 from penalty, Kante, 3 goals, and Kovac, 1 goal, have all scored in the Premier League, but they are still not very dangerous to the opponent's defense. Ross Barkley, meanwhile, is producing good statistics. Specifically, he achieved the expected goal ratio of .33 in 90 minutes, the highest in midfield, surpassing Mason Mount. Mount, in his first season with Chelsea's first team, scored 6 goals when playing in both wing and midfield positions. When playing in a 4-3-3 formation, he often becomes more of a threat than the main trio. The number of goals may be less in the Chelsea midfield, but in recent seasons, very few teams playing with a 4-3-3 formation have scored goals from this area on the field. The reason for the formation of the team from the beginning is to attack with a trio of players in the third of the backyard, giving the task of providing goals for the home team. Liverpool's attacking trio of Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, and Mohamed Salah in recent seasons are a vivid example of this style of play. Among the teams playing with a 4-3-3 formation in the past 10 matches in the last 3 seasons, Chelsea, under Lampard, ranked 5th in the number of expected goals on average in 90 minutes at midfield. Above them is Pep's Blue Man in 3 consecutive seasons and Man United in the 2017-2018 season. Man United's secret weapon, Marwan Fellaini. Chelsea is not a bad team at creating midfield. They are doing well at this stage with the players they have. Therefore, it is not possible to blame Kante and Chelsea's midfield for an ineffective attack. What is most evident is that Lampard does not build his system around Kante, so he becomes redundant in the system. The fact that Chelsea became certain in midfield will make the competition in the area more intense when Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who is very good at attacking, returns. Now, no one knows what the post-COVID-19 transfer market will look like, although many expect this market to be more of a buy than a sell. If the teams give up enough for UEFA, which leads them to loosen the financial equity law, then wealthy men like Chelsea will undoubtedly be the most profitable team. In any case, the fact that Chelsea sells Kante at this point is very logical. Injury allowed him to play in only 22 of 42 matches in all competitions before the season was interrupted. At the age of 29, it's easy to understand when we ask the question whether Kante has really peaked or not. So that means it would be best that Kante leaves Stamford Bridge. But that is a conversation that Lampard and Chelsea's other key transfer decision makers need to have. So what do you think about Kante? Is leaving Stamford Bridge the best for all?